This is Southern Cross News with Rachel Williams.
Good evening everyone and welcome to Southern Cross News. The government has lashed out at the Anglican Church after the bishop said new legislation would impose a death tax on Tasmanians. The church says families could be forced to pay up to $20,000 for a burial plot, but the government has accused it of scaremongering.
Fearing for the future of our cemeteries, the Anglican Church says proposed new laws could force the cost of a burial plot up to $20,000.
It's going to make burials unaffordable for most Tasmanians, and it comes across pretty akin to a death tax for people who are going to have to pay these kinds of fees to be buried in an Anglican cemetery.
Last month, the government released proposed legislation to keep cemeteries open for longer. The change is also recommending plots be maintained by a manager. The church said these two factors would drive up prices.
For the last 150 years, we've been able to run cemeteries under the current Act in an affordable way for people, and these provisions are going to make that unsustainable. A
claim outright refuted by the government.
That's not what's proposed, to be very clear. But in my reading of what the bishop has had to say, he is concerned about it. We'll listen to his feedback.
Meanwhile, health will be on the government's agenda when Parliament resumes on Tuesday.
We've got runs on the board, but we recognise that with increasing demand, particularly through our emergency departments, we've got to do more, and this week in Parliament I'll be unveiling further steps to support Tasmanians at their time of need.
Updates to come on the government's hospital to home initiative and its plan for mental health. Labor today revealed it had written to the Health Minister offering help and short-term solutions.
That's employing those additional pharmacy and imaging and allied health staff required to do a 7-day discharge program to effectively move people safely through the health system.
Michelle Wisby, Southern Cross News.
A 34-year-old man has been charged following an alleged sexual assault in Newtown. Police were called to an area near Clarendon Street in relation to the alleged rape involving a 15-year-old girl just after 1 a.m. yesterday. Police arrested the man and he appeared in an out-of-hours court session this morning. Anyone with further information is urged to call Crime Stoppers. Well, a war veteran from Wynyard will run against Justine Kay in the federal seat of Braddon at the next election. Gavin Pearce narrowly beat two rivals for the candidacy, including prominent businesswoman Stacey Sheehan. The party says gender was not the focus of the selection process.
With his daughter by his side, Gavin Pearce is back on his feet and on Braddon's blue ticket. The former soldier was gone with the wind 5 months ago when he missed out on pre-selection for the seat's federal by-election.
Not everything is plain sailing. You won't always get in the first time. And I think that demonstrates a bit of grit.
The local farmer says he'll be a resilient representative, having faced personal setbacks, including the loss of his wife to cancer.
When someone is given a knockback, they stand there or they get back up and they move forward.
He will run against incumbent Justine Kay, whose fierce focus on health will likely contrast with Pearce, who names business as a key battleground. But his selection comes amid a push for more female representation, including calls for quotas by some senior Liberals.
The good thing was that we had gender representation at the pre-selection, and at the end of the day, the members voted for Gavin, and he is our representative.
Stacey Sheehan, who lost in this pre-selection race, says Mr Pearce simply ran a stronger campaign.
There wasn't a lot of the gender issue in the discussions. I think the party's really determined to keep working at diversity of all sorts, and they're to be congratulated for that.
Now the task of swaying Braddon's election-weary voters begins. Tom Johnson, Southern Cross News.
A group of dedicated athletes has completed a mammoth trip across Tasmania to raise awareness of mental health. The Better with Balance multi-sport event took challengers to all corners of the state and finished in Hobart today.
They've walked up mountains, kayaked rivers and cycled trails. These athletes celebrating the end of a gruelling 1,300 kilometre challenge.
It's been constant. There's a few hills along the way, so it was just slow and steady. Get up every hill and get down the other side.
Starting at Georgetown, they travelled to Corinna, Queenstown, Lake St Clair and New Norfolk, finishing in Hobart today. The entire journey taking 7 days.
Feeling very good. It's great to be finished. It's been an awesome adventure, so I will miss it, but it's nice to have a chance to rest.
Run by the Tasmanian Mineral and Energy Council, the event raised money and awareness for mental health, promoting a healthy life balance and the importance of exercise.
Never feel like you've done enough to train for an event of this size, but you've just got to believe that when it gets tough that you can work your way through it and show that resilience, which is an important message for Mental Health Week as well.
What we were intending to do with this event was to highlight the linkage between good physical activity, some good outdoor activity, and mental health and life balance in general.
Money raised from the event will go back to the mental health organisation Rural Alive and Well. Michelle Wisby, Southern Cross News.
Dog lovers have united in Hobart to show off their pampered pooches at the annual Dogs on the Domain Day. Puppies of all shapes and sizes took part in a pet parade, also picking up prizes for best dressed, best trick and waggiest tail. Money raised from the event will go back to supporting dog organisations across Hobart.
Everyone loves dogs, same as we do. So having days like this is just great to show people that you can come out and about in Tasmania and do things with your dogs.
The Dogs Home of Tasmania currently has almost 40 dogs up for adoption, all looking for a new loving home.
The Tassie Tigers have scored a last-gasp goal to pull off an unlikely win against New South Wales in the Australian Hockey League this afternoon. Putting aside threats by the national governing body to boot them from the competition, the Tigers were undermanned but never outgunned in the 5-4 win.
Early danger signs for the Tigers after the Waratahs scored in the first 30 seconds. Tasmania had their moments too, and after 3 penalty corners, the Tigers finally put one away, courtesy of Ben Reid. 2-1 at the end of the first quarter after Matthew Buttieri put one past Grant Woodcock, but the hosts were more than matching it against their highly fancied opponents. The second quarter less spectacular unless you were the Tassie keeper, Woodcock surviving the onslaught to maintain the quarter-time score heading into the main break. Bad news for the Tigers soon after as Sam McCambridge was sin-binned. He made up for the indiscretion, his return netting a leveller before the conversion put Tassie in front 3-2. Moments later, Waratah Jack Hayes appeared to break home fans' hearts. But with just seconds to go in the Tigers' pump play, a new rule that turns 1 goal into 2, a moment that would send the hockey centre into a frenzy. Tasmania home 5-4, jettisoning them towards the top of the AHL ladder.
It's great to see so many familiar faces around, and I love being home, and I really miss it. So it's great to be back and put something on for them.
The win made even sweeter after the Tigers went into the match missing Kookaburra's Eddie Ockenden, Jeremy Edwards and Josh Belts.
They're a really quality side, and I think some of the younger guys today stepped up. I think Gobbin, on debut, that's one of the best debuts I've ever seen. So, the likes of those guys, pulling their weight and playing tremendous games, it went a long way to helping us win that.
The news wasn't so good for the Van Diemen's in Sophie McLeod's 100th AHL appearance, going down to New South Wales 8-1. Much of the damage was done in the first half as the Arrows continued to press forward. But a far more aggressive Tassie team emerged in the second half, reward finally coming just seconds before the final siren, but by then the damage was done. Andrew McCarthy, Southern Cross News.
Tasmanian Cameron Worth has smashed his own record on his way to a top 10 finish at the Ironman World Championship. In just his second go at the event in Hawaii, the former pro cyclist broke the record he set last year on the bike leg.
What about this bike time, Greg?
My goodness, he's ridden a 4:09.36. He's taken the record down by another 3 minutes. Cameron Worth by Australia has had the race of his life so far.
The 35-year-old from Sandy Bay was the top-ranked Aussie male, finishing 9th overall. Now in its 40th year, the event in Kona is considered triathlon's holy grail, owing to its toughness and prestige.
Good evening. Cloudy conditions across the state today with some showers about the north and northeast. 22 in Hobart and Launceston today, Burnie 18, 20 degrees in Devonport. The state's top was 26 degrees at Low Rocky Point and Scotts Peak. Strahan reached 25, King Island 23, 22 at Ouse, Flinders Island 21, Smithton 19, Low Head and St Helens 18, the Friendly Beaches 15 degrees. On the close-up, low-level cloud across much of the state today. To the south Adelaide, and a mass of middle and high level clouds sat over South Australia and to the south. Another mass of high cloud to the east of Queensland. Tomorrow the high will remain over the Tasman Sea as a low moves slowly to the south. A high will build over WA with a front to the southwest remaining slow moving. Coastal waters are north to northeasterly winds at 15 to 25 knots, reaching 30 knots in the northwest, swells to around a metre in the east but up to 2 metres for the west and south. And a strong wind warning remains in place tomorrow from Low Rocky Point to Stanley, also from the northern tip of Flinders Island to St Helens Point, and from Wineglass Bay to South East Cape. Monday's forecast now: a warm day for Hobart, fine and 25, 23 for Dover, 25 also for Ooze. A cloudy day for Launceston, 24, 19 in Devonport, Scottsdale a cloudy 21. A cloudy day also for Burnie, 18 degrees, Strawn a top of 24, Stanley fine and 18. In the east tomorrow, a shower for St Helens, 19, 21 for Swansea, and a cloudy day for Ross, 23 the top there. The UV forecast 6s and 7s across the state. Turning to Tuesday now, and mainly fine apart from showers developing about the west. Wednesday, showers extending statewide during the morning, and Thursday, showers again more frequent about the north. Capital cities tomorrow, a shower on the way for Darwin, a top of 33, Brisbane 23, Canberra 22, a few showers for Sydney 21, Adelaide 25, Perth fine and 21, Melbourne looking at a windy day but still warm, 28 degrees. And right now it's 21 in Hobart, 19 in Launceston, Devonport 17. Rach, that wraps up Sunday's weather.
Wonderful, thank you for that, Laura. Well, that's all your news for now. Thanks for joining us. Have a great week. Good night.
Thank you.